Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. Tonight is Wednesday, August the 18th, 2021, and welcome to this week's favorite edition of Dialogues with Doc. Listen, I am so excited to be with you all on this evening for another awesome and amazing show of Dialogues with Doc. So listen, um, this has been a crazy day. However, I am here. I am present and accounted for. I am literally just getting home from work. So I am like running and trying to make sure I still put on an awesome and amazing show for my amazing and awesome viewers that tune in and rock with me each and every week. Again, Dialogues with Doc is a platform that was launched during the pandemic just to provide a safe space to talk about a host of different topics. So we've been doing this thing for a little bit over a year now. We've been rocking each and every week. And I'm just so excited to be hanging with you guys once again. Again, thanks for joining us for tonight's show. You know the house rules. If you're watching for me, like, comment, share, subscribe. Those are the house rules. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button so you'll always get a notification when I go live. John, how are you, sir? Thank you so much for tuning in, John. I appreciate it. So, guys, I want to know where you are watching from. So if you're watching the show right now, let me know where you're watching from. I want to give you a shout out. I am in the DC area, so I am holding it down for the entire DMV, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. That's where I reside. That's where I live. That's where I work. But I'm also going to hold it down for the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex because that's where I was born and that's where I was raised. So I'm holding it down for the DMV and the DFW. So those are the two places that I'm holding it down for on tonight. John, you're in New York. Man, thank you for watching from New York, John. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Thank you for watching. So thankful to have you joining us on tonight. And if you're watching from other places, let me know. This show is going to go to higher heights each and every week. And each and every week we bring on a different guest for a one-on-one conversation, or we have a panel discussion about a random topic that I feel needs to be brought to the forefront, and we talk about it and we provide some insight and some dialogue from a different lens. So if you're watching this show for the very first time, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. If you're a repeat watcher, thank you for rocking with me, even on the days when I don't know how the discussion is going or how things may come out. But we just try to be our real authentic selves each and every week as we do this thing for you. Again, if you want to be a blessing to the broadcast, there is a Cash App there's a Cash App sign with a name there. So this is great to do. I am doing this as a one-man show, but it costs a lot to get certain things done. So if you want to sow into the Dialogues with Doc family and just be a blessing to help undergird some of the costs that I incur each and every week by doing this thing, feel free to Cash App me at $ I am Doc Verde. Also, if you want to be a show sponsor, that is also allowed. We have different sponsorship levels. So if you have a business out there that you want to bring more enlightenment and awareness to, please consider being a show sponsor. This is also the last, we're also in the month of August. So we had our 1-year anniversary show about 2 weeks ago. So if you want to take advantage of the Dialogues with Doc birthday celebration happening at 3050 Company. Our show sponsor tonight is 3050 Company. So go to the www.3050co.com. If you use the code DocVerde, you will get a 20% discount off of whatever you find. 3050 is an amazing and an awesome brand to support. They have handmade and handcrafted jewelry, handmade and handcrafted lapel pins, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So go over to 3050company.com and use the code DocVerde for some awesome and amazing discounts and gifts that are over there. You will like them. You will love them. I am a repeat shopper and I won't send you guys anywhere that I don't patronize myself. So go over there, 3050company.com. Support Brother Jamal Malik, who was a guest about a month ago on the show, doing some amazing things, bringing thoughts and concepts together. All right. So listen, I hope you guys are having an amazing week. We are fully into the back to school mode. As an educator myself, I literally just left work from doing an orientation to be in place to do tonight's show because I have an awesome and amazing topic to talk about tonight in my one-on-one discussion with my amazing guests. To those of you who are educators, thank you for your service. To those of you who are parents, thank you for your service. This has really been a trying time in the COVID pandemic as far as educators and education is concerned. So please, my thoughts and my prayers go out to my fellow educators. My thoughts and my prayers go out to any and everybody that is a parent. It's definitely a crazy time right now to be trying to do this thing and get your kids ready to go back to school. So trust me, as an educator, as a professional, it's a lot for all of us trying to do this thing. But we are here, we are present, we are accounted for, and we're going to do our best as we continue to maneuver through this pandemic and make this thing a whole lot better. So my prayers and my thoughts are with every parent, every educator, every paraprofessional, every food and nutrition person, every person that works in the building, on the sanitation side, all leaders, all teachers, and everybody. This will be an amazing year. We have gone through the worst. It can get worse, but we're going to remain optimistic that all of our students are covered, all of our educators that work with them are covered, and that we will have an awesome and amazing year of education. All right, that's my spiel on educators. Welcome back. We got work to do. Let's make it happen. So listen, tonight's show is I'm excited. I'm excited because it's Wednesday. I get to see you guys. I'm excited because I have some amazing content to bring to you guys on tonight. And I'm excited because I have another awesome and amazing guest joining me. The way this show works, I want you guys to understand that I try to bring awareness and insight to topics that anyone can relate to. The show isn't one-sided in a sense. I try to bring awareness and appreciation to different topics, no matter what they may be. So you may notice I've been in this parenting bag for a minute. One week I had Black foster dads on as my guest. Another week I had a show called Parenting from a Different Lens. So I had someone from the trans community join me as a guest to talk about parenting from a different lens, because I felt like the show Pose has made such an amazing impact. There was a pocket of individuals that I was forgetting about from a parenting lens. So what about those who join houses and things like that? So I want to bring awareness to parenting from a different lens. So shout out to Jasmine McKenzie in Florida, representing the House of Ebony, for joining me on the show a couple of weeks ago. So I will say tonight, I'm out of my parenting bag. I have an awesome and amazing guest joining me on tonight, and we're not going to talk about parenting at all. We're having a one-on-one conversation with another awesome and amazing brother that is going to be joining me on tonight. And this brother is a mental health advocate and wears a bunch of other hats as well. So we're going to get into some of those things on tonight with my guest. But of course, this is Dialogues with Doc. You guys already know there's only one way that I can and that I will bring my guest on. So again, if you're watching right now, like the broadcast, comment during the broadcast, share the broadcast. And if you're on the YouTube channel, or if you have a YouTube account, subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Again, I'm going to bring my awesome and amazing guests on. You guys know I can only bring them on one way, the Dialogues with Doc way. So give me a second and I will be right back. My brother, Yarnell, how are you, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Man, I am amazing, man. I'm running. Been a long day of work. I literally just left work because we had orientation tonight for the students. So it's been a long day dealing with a bunch of parents and scholars. But I'm here. I'm glad to be in the seat once again. Glad to have you joining me. And I'm just glad to see you, man. It's been a minute, so it's always good to see people when you haven't seen them in a while. How are you doing over there, man?
I'm making it, man. I'm trying to stay safe and I'm making it.
Trying to stay safe and sane. That's my tagline. If I were on a reality show in this season, trying to stay safe and sane. That's my tagline. I am. Let me go here. Can you hear me? I don't want to give Teddy Riley vibes on the verses at all. Can you hear me good?
I can hear you perfect.
Okay, perfect. So, brother, how let's start here. I'm going to start surface level before we get into the dialogue. Okay, so let's start with how are you maneuvering through this pandemic? So how has that been going for you? And then if you want to share, are you vaccinated? vaccinated?
Yeah, so I think much like everybody else, I have been kind of tiptoeing through. Well, I shouldn't say much like everybody else because there's a lot of people that's not tiptoeing through this whole pandemic thing. But I am extremely cautious. I kind of let my guard down for a minute when it seemed like we were out of the dark and, we weren't doing the whole mask thing. But I'm right back to making sure that I'm social distancing with this new Delta variant and just really being careful. And yes, I am fully vaccinated. So, yeah, it took me a while to get there, but I'm there.
No, I understand. Can you can hear me right? But you were chopping in and out. Did y'all? If you're watching, could you hear what he was saying? I heard the last part about fully vaccinated. Yes, but as you were talking about how you're maneuvering, it was going in and out. Say something for me now. You good?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Okay, there you go. Gotcha. Perfect. Okay. John says, "Hey, John's in the building." So let's stay on this vaccine thing for a second. I have my own rationale. I have my own reasons. Why were you hesitant?
Because I'm scary. Number one, I don't want to, I don't want the side effects, and I just kind of feel like they rolled it out really fast. I'm grateful that it rolled out as fast as it did, of course, because there were so many people who unfortunately became ill and passed away and did not get an opportunity to get the vaccine. But, it just rolled out so fast. And I don't like to be sick. I don't like to have any kind of, crazy feelings in my body. So I was really nervous about it. Other than that, I think that was kind of the only reason, just the skepticism of how quick it came out. Medicine, it's a practice. And I don't like the idea that this is kind of almost a guinea pig kind of thing. But, it is what it is. If it gives us any chance of eradicating this whole thing, or at least building some kind of immunity at large, I'm for it. So yeah.
Gotcha. I got you. So listen, same thing here. There's still that hesitancy because y'all roll this thing out pretty fast, and now August the 18th, you're talking about a 8-month booster shot. So I'm like, here we go with something else. Okay, so we good. So, brother, I'm gonna start here for how I found you.
Yeah.
On Instagram. So I'm gonna start there, and then we'll get more to the conversation as we go on. Okay, so the flyness of Yarnell, aka Dapper on a Dime. Can you tell us some more about that? Because that's how I actually found you on social media.
Man. So I don't know about the whole flyness part, man. I do what works for me. That's really kind of how it is. I've always had an interest in fashion. I grew up in the beauty industry. My mom, my grandmother owned a really large salon back home in Detroit. And then, my uncle was a photographer. So I was always surrounded by that whole beauty kind of artistic style arena. And it just kind of grew up in me for the most part, So after a few years ago, I think 2017, I just kind of had this idea of Dapper on the Dime. And the premise of it is essentially, there are so many bloggers or fashion and style influencers that are out there, but a lot of the times the apparel and the brands that they're showing, they're so unattainable for most people, for the everyday guy, and you feel like you got to go out and spend a shitload of money. Can I say shitload here? You feel
you can.
You feel like you got to go out and spend a shitload of money just to look nice, and that's not the case.
Right.
So, I just decided that would probably be a great vehicle for people to kind of see different ways to cultivate their style and personal style. So I haven't done a great job with keeping the blog going, but that's a whole nother conversation.
So, and I said the flyness because you just have this the way you just put stuff together, man, and I guess it comes from your professional background of what you've done for years and what you continue to do, in your free time. But I'm just like, this dude here, I came across this page. I'm like, this dude is like that, like, and you say dapper on a dime. You can obtain or attain this same look and not spend thousands of dollars like so many other people are doing. So no, thank you for helping the people like me who, we ball on the budget and we thrift every now and then, and we'll mix it up with this or with that, and we just make it look the way that we look, and we look good doing
it. Listen, I hear you. First of all, I'm with you. I ball on the budget. I believe, first of all, I say this all the time to my friends in conversation: designers don't make you dope. Designer clothes don't make you any more fly or stylish than anyone else. I like designer clothes, but I will also find something, I don't know, at a thrift store, or, maybe walking through Target, I see a t-shirt or something that I like. So I feel like, style is something that you have and that you can grow it, you can advance your style or improve your style. But at the end of the day, again, just a lot of what we see on social media is a lot of flashiness, and you feel like it has to be the Gucci or Fendi or the power brands, as we call them, in order to feel like you're fly and well dressed or stylish, and that's just not the case at all. So,
got it. So I'm good now. I hear you clearly. It was these damn AirPods I had to take out my ears, so I'm good now. Okay. It was me, y'all. I apologize. Trying to make sure the sound and stuff is right from my boy over there. So let's go here. One of the things you're famous for is and it's famous to me because I admire it. One of the things you're famous for, and you make no qualms about it, is taking social media breaks.
Yeah.
How important are they for you? Because you've inspired me to start doing the exact same thing. But I've known you for a number of years, and Yarnell will disappear. He will take a social media break. He will come back with a new Instagram handle, or he may reactivate his Facebook page after a while. But how important is that for you, and what caused you to say, you know what, let me disconnect totally from all this foolishness because I got to work on me?
It's exactly what you just said, foolishness. Social media is a great tool if you use it properly. But let's be honest, there are so many people on social media that misuse it. And I think the problem that I have with Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is that, it allows idiots to be frank. It allows idiots a voice and a stage, and I can just use Donald Trump as an example. It took them his entire presidency to finally block him after he had insulted pretty much everybody on the planet, and so those kind of things just kind of make me monitor my use, what I put out on social media. And then after a while, I feel like it just becomes too noisy. There's so many voices and quote unquote influencers. So it's, what you should wear, what you should eat, where you should vacation, what TV shows you could watch. I remember a time where you couldn't watch a TV show without people in a certain time zone giving away what's happening. It's just so much noise sometimes that I feel like, listen, I've already got a lot of shit going on in my head. I don't need the voices of the rest of the world on top of the voices in my own damn head. I need to kind of silence it and take breaks from time to time. And I think it's healthy to do that. I think it's really healthy to kind of take a back seat to it.
Yeah, most definitely, because we get so caught up in the noise. Like I said, it's the noise. It's the noise for me sometimes. But I'm like, let me just cut this BS off and disconnect to just stay safe and sane. Like we said when we started the show off, like, let me just not even have to deal with all that BS because there's so many distractions that we have to take breaks. And so I admire you for that, because you've inspired me to even say, you know what, I'm fasting from social media for, like, people think fasting always has to be food or something like that. It can be social media. Just let me take a break from this thing and just focus on this or focus on that. That would easily become a distraction for me as I go through my day-to-day routine or as I go through life in general. Another thing I love about you is you are all about empowering yourself,
Yeah.
and you're unapologetic about it. So I want to go here because there's a T word that people are scared to talk about, but you embrace it, you love it, you're very vocal about it. But therapy can be a good thing, right?
Therapy is a great thing, man. What baffles me, and I understand, especially in the African American community and in our culture, I understand the negative stigma that surrounds mental health. Because I remember growing up as a kid, and there were individuals in my family that had mental health issues. They suffered with depression or anxiety or different things, and back in that time, there really wasn't a name for it, or it wasn't really at the forefront of care and healthcare. And so for me, I just realized that therapy is my outlet. I have some great friends and great people in my life that I can talk to. But what happens when the thing or the person that I want to talk about happens to be those friends or those people?
Mm-hmm.
That's where my therapist or your counselor or whoever, your mental health specialist, that's where that person comes in, where you can go in and have complete, full transparency and just say what's on your mind. And the biggest thing that I found is that they also provide coping tools or just tools in general to help you navigate daily life, especially, in this age that we're living in, where there's so much going on in the world. I feel like we need that outlet. So I'm not shy about it at all. Not one bit.
I put me, and I'm over here writing that. I'm not being rude. I'm over here writing down show notes as we go through stuff because I always take little notes.
Yeah.
So it's crazy that because therapy, I align therapy with medical care,
Yes.
meaning this is an area where, especially men, especially as Black men, we struggle, especially like going to the doctor, getting checkups, things like that. And the crazy part about it is, our Black asses pay for insurance on our jobs and still won't use. So we're paying for something that we don't use.
Exactly.
Therapy in the same under the same lens, you have insurance that can cover therapy. Many people don't want to even use, like, you could probably get free sessions or get discounted sessions because you have insurance, and people don't even think about it from that lens of mental health care is free, and so mental health care can be free as well if you tap into it, if you find a therapist that takes your insurance, and you can even get more bang for your buck if you just think outside the box and realize that it can be a good thing and it doesn't cost as much as you think it would actually cost.
Yeah, I agree, man. It's like it's a benefit that you're already investing in with your insurance, to work with your health insurance. And I think that that's what people really need to understand, that mental health, it's your mind, it's your brain, it's a part of your entire well-being. So, why would you not go and seek care or help when life just, becomes a little bit too much? And I think that it's underused. It's an underused benefit that we have. But again, I think it's because so many people are ashamed or embarrassed, or they just want to continue to look like they have it all together. So people don't talk about it. People don't share their struggles. And I think what happens, here's the interesting thing, man. I remember years ago when I first started talking about mental health and seeing a therapist on Facebook, there were so many people that was in my inbox commenting like, wow, I would have never thought. And, you really helped me to kind of see therapy and seeking mental health differently, because I would have thought that, you wouldn't be the type of person that would need that. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm a person. You just said the key word, I'm a person. And I think that when we take the veil off of mental health and the struggles that we have and really put a face to it, then people start to see themselves and they're like, oh, so it's not that I'm crazy. Oh, it's not this, taboo thing, or it makes people feel more comfortable that they're not suffering alone or suffering in silence.
Mm-hmm. It's like something you said. It's like the comment was made, you don't look like you need therapy. Well, what does someone that needs therapy look like?
Me.
Like you people try to pinpoint what someone who needs therapy should look like, and therapy has no color, therapy has no face, therapy has no gender. It's free, it's out there for everybody. You just have to take advantage of it if you want to continue to be your best self. You're right, John. We have to stop the stigma of mental health. We must take care of our mental health. And y'all, my mom is watching. Yeah, mama, they on social media. They just want to be seen, so they doing everything, but the right thing. So since we transitioned over to this mental health thing, I'm gonna go. I kind of got the show bucketed in different categories. So since we're in the mental health zone right now, let's go here. As an advocate, my brother, how did you even get involved in promoting awareness, especially as a Black male? Something that many of us run or shy away from. How did Yarnell even getting just promoting awareness for mental health? You say you started on Facebook just sharing, and it just blew up as people being in your inbox. But what made you say, I need to check myself to become my best self?
I think what happened was after talking to so many guys and just having casual conversation about, their careers or their goals, or, just it could be over drinks or coffee or maybe professionally. What I found is that so many people had these questions or, had these issues that weren't being addressed. And it's like, damn, of course I had that same thought in the beginning, like, you struggle with depression or you struggle with XYZ, because from the looks of things, from the image, you got it all together, and it just rang a bell that, like, damn. So while I'm sitting back suffering silently, thinking that I'm the only one that's experiencing life, because that's really all it is, I'm the one that's sitting back thinking that, damn, it's only me, while there's so many other people that's going through this. And it just said, you know what? I understand that these people want privacy, and I'm not saying that they're wrong for not being as transparent or vocal. But what I can do is literally put a face to this, my face, if I have to, and say, listen, you're not by yourself. I remember years ago, there was a friend of mine that I worked with that committed suicide because he was just going through so much with his family, mentally. He had some other struggles. And that was a wake-up call for me, like, damn, people really are hurting out here, and if it takes me putting myself out there a little bit more, obviously within reason, I'm not going to put my whole life story out there, but within reason, if I can put a face to it to say, listen, you're not the only one, or all the shit that you see on social media, everything that glitters ain't gold, then that's the purpose to me. That's the benefit of it. So it really just started from me wanting people to see that people who don't appear to have any kind of issues, it's putting a mask on. Every day we put a mask on to go out and deal with society, but I figured it's time for somebody to take the mask off. And if it's got to start with me, then that's just what it is. So.
No, and I love how you said it's the mask thing. Mark, you're right. A lot of people fight with acceptance that you actually do need help. No, that is a great point, Mark. And like you said, it's the mask. It's the mask for me.
Yeah.
It's crazy because we get so caught up in putting these masks on, and we're not doing anything but just continue to hide behind this mask, the mask that we need help. It's crazy because I was at work today, and I work in a high school, and I'm a director of student support services for a high school here in DC. And I was mapping out with my team. We have to rev up the mental health support this year because we have a lot of kids and students coming into our building this year who are still maneuvering through COVID. They're dealing with grief and loss. So grief and loss even extends to, people think it's just losing a loved one. Grief and loss for some kids is just being evicted in the midst of a pandemic, or losing someone close to you. Even dealing with just different things like that. So I said, y'all, we really have to be very strategic with the mental health supports that we put in place this school year, because our kids are going to need a lot. They haven't been in school in a year and a half. Life has just been passing them by vicariously, and so much has happened in DC as far as killings and things like that, that we have to just, we gotta be ready to stand flat-footed with no shoes on and support our babies. So this mental health is going to be key, especially for my young Black and brown boys in my building. And I work in a high school where many kids don't even think outside of moving out of DC because that's all they know. So you're right on the piece of helping take the mask off to help bring more taking the national to bring more awareness to the fact that mental health is real for any and everybody, especially the population that I support, which is many Black and brown boys. Let's go here, because mental health can kind of be tricky when you're someone like me and yourself who have a strong foundation in faith. So I have this strong foundation in faith, but I'm dealing with mental health as well. So how has your faith played a part in becoming the man that you are? Like saying, okay, I have some mental health concerns that I need to keep in touch with. And we're coming from a background where everybody says just pray and it'll go away, or just pray and things will get better. But sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
And my faith, and sometimes your faith will have you think, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, but my God, I'm still dealing with and struggling or suffering in silence. So how's your faith played a part in helping you evolve into who you are?
So it's a huge part of who I am. Listen, what I've learned is that my relationship with God and my faith, it's a practice and it's a walk, right? So I'm not always perfect. I don't pray every day like I should, or, as frequently as I should. I won't put a time to it or a frequency to it, but I don't pray as often as I should. I've gotten better. But my faith is extremely important and it's critical to my mental health. How I look at it is that, yes, God is for me, he's our ultimate provider. And provides clarity and communication. That's another thing when I say I need to take social media breaks, because sometimes there's so much chatter that I can't hear from God, if I'm being honest. I can't hear what he's saying to me, even if I've prayed and I've gotten the answer. I can't receive it a lot of times because I'm so busy listening to what everybody else is saying or what's going on in the world. So that's a part of that break as well. But anyway, I think that he's also gifted us with professionals, and people in different arenas that would help aid us and guide us through life. So be it, medicine, be it, music, be it books, be it whatever it is, he's gifted these people with these talents and these skill sets. So why not tap into these resources? I happen to be connected with my therapist, I would say throughout, my journey with them, and they've pretty much all been faith-based. That's really important for me, because when I start to talk about certain things, I don't want you to look at me like I'm crazy, or think that I'm I'm way more off than I really am. So, I need them to understand that, hey, listen, while I'm coming to you for tools and tips to help me through, I also tap into a higher power. So I'll know when this relationship is not really going the way it's supposed to, or you're not giving me the advice and leading me down the path that I need to be going. So for me, they play hand in hand, but my faith is first.
That's it. Above all else, this is my foundation. This is in my DNA. My faith is in my DNA. If nothing else is, I know my faith is. So
absolutely.
No, thank you for sharing that. I'm gonna tell y'all something that Yarnell didn't know I was gonna do. But he's a guest on my show tonight. I want to say happy birthday, happy belated birthday, because my brother just turned 40. A couple days ago, right?
Friday the 13th. Yeah.
Friday the 13th. So happy belated birthday. Happy birthday to you. And I want to throw this question in there. What's something the 40-year-old Yarnell wishes he could tell the 18-year-old version?
Whoa.
From a mental health lens, like if it's one of those, if I knew then what I knew now, I would tell you da da da.
Ooh, that's loaded, man. Oh God, what would I tell my 18-year-old self? Probably, it's all gonna work out the way it should. It's all gonna work out the way it should. I think the biggest thing for me is that I'm a stressor, or my anxiety kind of gets the best of me, and I rehearse things in my mind over and over and over until they become bigger than what they really are, or I'll attach different things. So one thing would be really small. I could stub my toe and that starts my morning off. And then here comes the next thing and the next, and I put it all together, and before you know it, it's chaos. I would tell my 18-year-old self, it's all going to work out. Just slow down, pace yourself, and don't worry. Stop worrying so much, because that's been a constant for me for the most part.
Mm-hmm. I got it. I love it. And you said something recently that kind of took me aback. So I'm gonna go there since I got you here tonight. I can ask you this question. Mental health. You
Yeah.
said something about struggling with aging recently. So let's talk about that.
Okay.
You made a post recently. What made you say, you know what? As we get older, it is what it is. So what was the impetus behind you posting about that?
I think in the gay community specifically, um, aging has been frowned upon, or it has been people have been afraid of it for a lot of reasons. Youth is celebrated. That's the easiest way to put it. Youth is celebrated, and I think that what happens is you probably see a few more lines in your face. The gray hair start to show up. Your body doesn't look the same. It doesn't respond to the workouts the way it used to. And I think that as a community, we celebrate youth so much. And for me, I never really had examples of what aging gracefully, if you will, looked like. I never really had those examples because the older guys wanted to stay young and they were trying so hard to stay relevant that, and that could be by the way they dressed, by the way they acted, where they hung out, who they hung out with. I never really had an example or a blueprint or maybe a little bit of a roadmap to say, here's some of the things that you should probably shed at a certain age, meaning behaviors. And then here's what you need to look forward to. I never had that. So for me, I'm just like, 40 is an opportunity for me to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. But most importantly, define what aging is for myself as well as people that are watching, the younger generation that may be watching. Because I remember there was some point, even when I was in my 20s, where, if there was an older guy that had, something smart or sarcastic to say, the first clapback is age, and I'm like, that don't really cut it no more because it's a blessing to grow old at this point. It really is. So, I just kind of look at it as an opportunity to really define it for myself. And because I didn't have those examples, I think it's important to realize that no matter how large your platform is on social media, if it's 200 followers or 200,000 followers, that those people are watching and looking at you and you're setting an example or setting a tone. So I want to make sure that I'm a part of positively influencing this community. And, I had a really quick story. I was at the pool one day and I took a picture and I typically shave my chest hair. The reason I shave it is because it's itchy. That's the only real reason, right? And I just decided not to. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it alone. And I had someone that's like in my age group, and he said to me, he might be a couple years older, and he said, you know what? I was about to go on vacation and I was gonna shave my chest hair because I felt like it made me look old. And he was like, but you've given me the confidence to just go ahead and rock with it. And it really made me think like, damn, number one, people are watching, even if you don't think they are. You never know how much you're affecting or influencing someone. And then outside of that, it's like, damn, like people really out here wilding and tripping about chest hair. Like, so just to kind of erase the stigma around aging, that's kind of my goal, and it starts with me, to be honest.
No, it's crazy because, and I'm laughing because I'm like, I'm in the right room. Meaning, I had a similar struggle for when I turned 40 a year ago, and hell, some days I still say I'm 40 because of COVID. Hell, I didn't get to use it honestly. So you catch me on the right day, I say I'm 40. You catch me on the wrong, you catch me on the right day, I say I'm 40. Catch me on the wrong day, I feel every bit of 41 because I didn't get to use it last year. But It's funny because I had a guest on about a month ago, and I struggle with it honestly, Yarnell, because I'm an educator, and I'm an educator who's always been in high school. So I started teaching at 25. So the first group of kids that I taught is now 34. So it's like I see kids that are 34 years old. I'm like, well, dang, like this could literally be one of my former students. So I have people bringing kids into my building now as a high school that are like 18 and the mom is like 40. So I'm like, damn, you started at 12. But it's crazy because now I struggle with turning 40 because the first group of kids I taught is now 34. So it's like, it's like, and as you get older, you run into a former student, they like say something fly to you, and you're like, this don't even sound right. Hey, Dr. Green, and they kind of slide a little something like, you're still one of my former students, and that will never change. Yeah. So I've had my struggles as well with this thing of aging. So I get you, brother. I get you. Since you already dived into the conversation about sexuality, let's go here. Because one thing I love about you, you had this open book mentality of, I don't mind sharing, I don't mind talking about it. It is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. And I'm going to be my true, authentic self. So let's go here. When coming to terms with your sexuality, how important was it when you got it? Like, there may have been a struggle, but when you finally got it and you owned it, how important was that for Yarnell?
Let me say this. First of all, I don't know that I actually got it. I'm still getting it. Because, I come from, I don't want to say come from an era like I'm 100 years old, but the world is vastly different than it was when, I came out, if that's what you want to call it, and I'm from Detroit. So, the things that are acceptable now, thank God that they are, but the things that are acceptable or, the progress that we've made as a community, this wasn't that way, when I was 20 or, in a lot of ways, even 30. So I think for me, it's still a matter of owning it now, and really embracing who I am. And it's a struggle because it's like there's so many old habits or old patterns and ways of thinking as it relates to my sexuality that I get, I get caught up in a lot of times. So what I have to do is just remind myself, listen, I am who I am. And I think that people respect authenticity. And, I had a friend, I have a friend, I should say. And this friend of mine is a makeup artist. And I've known him since I was like 16 years old. And what I've always admired about him is that he has been authentically who he is ever since I've known him. And even when I didn't have the courage to be myself, I always admired that about him. And having examples like that really helped me to really just kind of settle in my skin, if that's what I want to call it, and just embrace who I am. So for me, it's just a journey, man. It's a process of owning it every day, because we will always find someone or something to challenge us as it relates to our sexuality. But you gotta stand firm in who you are. And again, people are watching, so I can appreciate that, we have a newer generation like, the little Nas X's or, these people that are really at the forefront of the movement right now. I can appreciate that. I'm not from that generation, so I don't necessarily understand everything that they do, and everything that they do as far as music or fashion or film. It's not for me per se, but I can appreciate that we've made progress and that people are able to be a little bit more comfortable, because that's not the generation that I come from.
Mm-hmm. I get it. So staying in that same vein, as you continue to grow and evolve into the man you are, what would you say is the biggest misconception about Yarnell?
Probably that I am arrogant, cocky, conceited, like all the foolish stuff, right? And I think a lot of that, number one, I'll start here. I realize that a lot of that comes from people's own personal issues with themselves and their own insecurities. But I also understand that in our community, there is a certain image that's kind of pushed to the forefront socially, maybe. Mm-hmm. And I think, I'm 6'3", obviously you can't see that here, but I'm a tall dude. I probably have a certain presence, I guess. And for whatever reason in our community, that could present a threat, maybe like, here come this, shady person or whatever. And, they're looking down on everybody. And it's like, no, that's not the case at all. Like, I think that the minute I open my mouth and start to engage people, then they're like, oh shit, he is not what I thought he was. I'm a pretty laid back, easygoing person, So I think that's the biggest misconception, is that I'm just a completely different person than I am.
And it's like, I'm too damn tall for you to be prejudging me. Like get to know me. Like I'm pretty cool as hell. Like, but
and I'm going to tell you, man, it's really hurtful, because I remember, I know that I can be standoffish in social environments, but it's because I'm observing. I'm not just about to walk into the party like, hey, everybody, and, just let loose. Like, you got to kind of observe the energy and what's going on in the room. Now, I'll never forget, man, I was going to the movies with a group of people that I never really met. I only knew one person, which is the person that invited me. And when I walked in, I am aware, again, that sometimes I don't come across as the most warm and inviting. And the minute I came into the room, I'm like, hey, everybody, how's everybody doing? And like literally started introducing myself. It was about 3 people there, and they were like the shadiest, coldest. I mean, the reception was not warm at all. And it made me, first of all, kind of retreat into myself a little bit more again, but it also reminded me why some people are not so eager to just put themselves out there, because people can be vicious and mean for no reason. Again, I know that it's probably because of their own experiences and insecurities, but we gotta move past that at some point.
You're right, man. It's like people are. I'm gonna be nice tonight and stay off my soapbox, because you summed it up in a nutshell. Like, people are so, and you're like, damn, like, can I just look? I don't care where I go. I'm going in observing. Let me find out what the exit is first. Like, this is me. Let me find out where the closest exit is first of all, just because that's just me. I need to know how to move around, how to maneuver, how to read the room. You're right, John. You got to read the room no matter what room you're in, just to kind of make sure you're centered, and then I'll go from there. So you're on it. Let's go. I'm going here. What was it like growing up for you, and as you continue to evolve into this confident individual that you are? So I had to go back and rewatch the interview with Dash of Pride. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yo, just to hear this brother's story and how just confident in who he is and his manhood as he continues to grow and evolve. I just wanted you just to share a little bit of that conversation with what it was like for you growing up. Hell, I even got another part. How'd you get from Detroit to Atlanta? Like, I know there was that's a follow-up question after that one, because I'm like, you know what? He's not from Atlanta. He's from Detroit. And how the hell did he get from Michigan to Georgia? But we'll come back to that second part. But let's go there.
So, I was thinking about that today, actually, like growing up in Detroit and what that was like for me. Here's the interesting thing. I think that there was a lot of trauma that I experienced. Growing up in the hood, a little gay Black boy, and again, that's a part of the conversation on Dash of Pride, where you have family members that start to see that thing and they're like, and there comes the teasing and the picking, and from your own family, right? Or from your own environment. And some of the things that I experienced growing up, I didn't realize, I think the crazy part is that when you grow up in an environment, it's all that you know. So there's a sense of normalcy to it. So I didn't realize that some of the teasing or some of the experiences that I had, being around drug use and drug dealers, and the conversations that I was exposed to at a young age that I probably shouldn't have been. All those things, they felt normal to me because I didn't know anything else, right? But as an adult, now I'm like, well, damn, that was a little fucked up. It probably traumatized me a little bit. And I've carried some of those things into my adulthood. I think that for me, just knowing how far I've come, and honestly realizing that I probably shouldn't have even made it this far based on the environment that I was in, based on some family history, it's literally a miracle. So that's why 40 is so important to me as well, because 21 in the environment that I come from, that was like
40.
21 was 40. So it's like, damn, to actually make it here, and it has not been easy. It is like, whoa, shedding some of that trauma, shedding some of those experiences, or maybe not even shedding them, but just coming to terms with a lot of those experiences I had. That's been a process, and I can tell you, a lot of the what do I want to call it? I'm trying not to cuss too much.
Look, one thing I love about you, you're gonna be your authentic self. So these colorful words, use them.
A lot of the bullshit that I went through actually started when I moved to Atlanta. So I think that in the past, I've been here 11 years, and I moved here when I was 28. For me, or about almost 12 years, but for me, a lot of the person that I've become actually started to take place when I moved to Atlanta. When I essentially left the nest, I left my security blanket of my family and my friends, and I pretty much just packed up my shit and I moved, and in my 30s, which is another reason I'm so happy to be out of my 30s, because I spent the last decade growing in Atlanta in my 30s, and I made some terrible mistakes, man. And I think that just kind of owning those mistakes and really learning from them. Some of them I repeated over and over and over. But I've made a promise to myself that, yeah, you got to let some of those things go, brother. Like, you are in a whole nother season of your life. You're in a whole nother decade. Leave the things that you did in your 20s and 30s behind. So I think for me, that growth is a process still.
Brother, you 11 years, man. I didn't realize it's been that long.
11.
Almost 12 years. I mean, I was reflecting the other day. I can't believe I've been in DC 5 in November. Like, these years are flying by. Like,
here's the thing, man. It's been 11 years, but if I'm being honest, it feels like it's been 20. Like the stuff that I have endured and encountered, and the people. If I'm being honest, there are some people and some things that I literally wish I could go back in time and erase. But I also know that those people and those experiences were necessary and made me who they're a part of why I am who I am today. So as much as I would like to magically snap my fingers and get rid of some people and some things, I got to appreciate that they were a part of the journey.
I'm not going to even go to that question because you just answered it. Let's go. Oh yeah, this one here, we got the this toxic masculinity thing keeps just popping up as a hot topic for any and everybody. Why do you think so many men struggle with toxic masculinity?
Because that's how most of us were raised. We were raised in this environment where it was acceptable to behave a certain way. You were actually expected to behave a certain way. You were expected to womanize, and it's really crazy because I was watching a TV show from this Good Times actually the other day, and it was an episode where Thelma's college aged boyfriend was writing a paper, and they found the paper, but they immediately thought that it belonged to one of the boys. And when they thought it belonged to one of the boys, it was okay. But the minute they found out it belonged to her, it was a whole nother story. And for me, that was just like an example of, damn, like this kind of behavior about what it means to be a man, a black man, or a strong man. This is a generational thing. This has been going on forever, and I think that we're finally reaching a place where people are just kind of like, yeah, enough of that. And essentially, it's not even about toxic masculinity. It's just bad behavior, period. Let's just call it what it is, So, when I see it, like if it could be from a friend, I'll call it out or I'll say something about it if I'm close to that person. Like, yeah, listen, that's not cool. But I think that it's going to take some time, like everything. We can't just go from one thing as a generation or a few generations or as a culture. It's going to take some time and patience for us to really wean certain behaviors out of our families, out of our communities, and, you know, out of our culture at large.
Ladies and gentlemen, he answered that question. I'm sorry. Everyone, he answered that question. I had a whole gender sensitivity training today as I prepared for my students to come back into the business. So I can't even say ladies and gentlemen anymore. Everyone, he answered the question. So no matter what you identify as, everyone, he answered the question that I proposed before him. Brother, you when it comes to the life of Yarnell, it's 3 things that are just non-negotiable.
Yeah.
What 3 things are your non-negotiables in your life?
So the first would be my relationship with God. Again, it's not perfect, but it is non-negotiable. Like, I have made the mistake of putting things and even people before God in my life, you know, in my past. And I learned the hard way that that's not the move. So that's number one. Second thing is drug use. That is like non-negotiable for me. And it is because I have seen what drug use have done to family members. I've seen what it's done to friends. I grew up around it. And it's absolutely like, if you want to end the relationship, friendship, or whatever with me, it's drug use. That's just kind of a no-go. Even to the point of like weed, you know, and smoking weed, you know, like I have a new, my mind is a little bit more open to it than it once was, because I've done a little bit more research on it as well. And so I can understand some of the benefits of it, but I do still, you know, understand that it's more of a recreational thing for some people. So my mind isn't as close to that as it used to be, but drug use, like heavy drugs and all that, that's just a no-go for me. The third thing, I don't really know. I mean, probably
your piece.
I was just about to say, digging too far up in my business, because I am as transparent as I am extremely private. You know, I posted probably a month ago, I could be married and have a whole family and you would never know, because it's not your business, you know? So I think that's probably it, digging too deep. And that's even my closest friends know that about me. Like, don't get too far up in my business, because you're going to hit a wall real quick. Like, stop. That's too much.
Don't do it. Don't do it, Miss Seeley. So as we grow and evolve as men, sometimes we have to have a thank you, Jesus moment and reflect back on things we may have went through or things we may have gone through that have helped us to evolve. So while you were talking, I came up with another question that I'm going to throw at you. How does reflecting your childhood traumas, when you reflect on it and think back as an adult, where it may have bothered me a couple years ago, it now encourages me as I continue to go on my journey?
Man, you know, I think that reflecting on my childhood traumas, it helps me to understand myself better. You know, it helps me to understand some of the decisions that I make. You know, it helps me to understand some of the fears and anxieties that I have surrounding certain things. You know, I'll be transparent about something. When I look at, so I lost a lot of people at a young age in my life. My mom passed when I was 16. My favorite aunt, who essentially raised me, she passed when I was about 14. My grandmother passed when I was 15. And it just kept going and going and going, from favorite cousins, aunts, and uncles. And I would say within a 5 to 7 year period, I probably lost maybe, I'm going to say 7 or 8 people in my family that I was really, really close to.
Wow.
And that was devastating. So as a result, I created this wall where I did not want to really be close to anybody. And I still struggle with that to this day. Like, one of the biggest struggles in relationships for me, even like romantic relationships, is being affectionate. I come from a very affectionate family. You know, I was a mama's boy, and, you know, that's just kind of who I was. And because of that amount of loss early in my life, and in such a short span of time, it just created this barrier for me to say, "Oh, don't get too close to people because you're going to lose them, and the pain is just unbearable." So I think that just experiences like that, having to reconcile with them at this age, or throughout the past several years, it's been eye-opening, and I've been able to really reach back in my past and just make sense of some of my behavior.
Yeah, and are you and how do you fall sibling wise? Are you an only child, or do you have siblings that are older, younger? Where do you fall in the mix of?
I'm the youngest. I'm the youngest, and most people say they can tell.
Well, I'm the only, and most people definitely say they can tell. Like, yeah, you got only child syndrome. I'm like, okay, it is what it is, and I'm content being the only. Now, I'm the only one on my mama's side. Now, my daddy, that's another Rolling Stone story for another day. But yeah, I'm the only one over here. So I want to go back to this real quick. Someone may be watching right now. What do you think are some potential signs that there may be some mental health concerns? Someone may be watching that is just thinking, well, could that classify or qualify as mental health, as a mental health concern or whatever? So what do you think are some potential signs that someone may need some help?
I think number one, mood swings. Mm-hmm. When someone has like several mood swings throughout the day, I think that is a sign that there's something going on. And I think that people really need to understand that there's a couple things. It could be something that is, it could be. I think that mental health is not always connected to just what's going on in your surroundings or just like overactive thinking. There actually could be, something going on in your body, or in your mind, as far as, biologically something could be going on with you, and you might just need to, get some help. Maybe, there's a chemical imbalance somewhere. So I think that, those mood swings, that is definitely an indicator. I also think that when people start to isolate, and kind of distance themselves, that is a very huge sign, because it just kind of shows that they don't necessarily know how to cope, or they're kind of checked out. So if it's someone that's really usually very social or active, and they're not doing the things that they love, that is absolutely a sign. And then I think thirdly, people who say things that are alarming or do things that are alarming. We have this thing in our community, as far as, the African-American community, that, they just doing that for attention. It's like, yeah, they're probably not just doing this for attention. They are, they're crying out for help, and you probably should listen. So check on them, see if they're okay. Don't just think that they're doing this for attention. Like, yeah, so maybe they are doing it for attention, but that's a flag right there. They need some kind of attention. You just hit the nail on the head right there, And then I just noticed that somebody said sleeping and appetite change. Absolutely correct. Like, when your sleeping habits are disturbed and you're kind of tossing and turning all night, it's probably because you can't turn that thing off in your head that's constantly feeding you bad information or negativity. So that's also a really good point.
So no, thank you for sharing that. And then shifting from that vein to therapy again, just take a moment and just encourage someone who may be considering or contemplating getting a therapist. Just like you have a good doctor, there's nothing wrong with having a good therapist. So if you could just pour real quick and encourage someone who may be considering or be on the fence about just looking for a therapist.
I would honestly say, at the end of the day, go for it. You have to take care of yourself. A lot of times we are so concerned about the image or keeping up appearances, or, supporting our family members or supporting our friends. We're the person that they run to with all their problems, and it leaves us out, in the open when we want or when we need somebody to confide in and talk to. I would say that you got to pour into yourself before you can pour into somebody else. That's really what it boils down to, So if you're on the fence about it, listen, you're not crazy. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not different. It's not strange. It doesn't mean that you're weak. It doesn't mean that that you're not who you say you are, because a lot of people struggle with the imposter syndrome that, hey, listen, if I'm going to seek care, it's going to expose that I'm not who people think I am. None of that is true. I would say go take care of yourself, work with a professional, even if it means starting out talking to a trusted friend, someone at your school, if you're a student, at your church, if it's your pastor. Talk to someone that you can trust, because you will find that a lot of times just venting and getting things off your chest and having a listening ear, that could be exactly what you needed to relieve some of that stress. A lot of times when I'm talking to my therapist, as I'm talking, she'll just let me ramble. And eventually I've worked out the very thing that was stressing me out just by having someone to talk to. So, again, you're not alone in this. Number one, you're not the only one. There are millions of us that are going through the exact same thing and having some of the exact same things exact same thoughts that you're having. Most importantly, if you are having thoughts of harming yourself or harming somebody else, seek help immediately. Get out of that head space that you're in and reach out to someone, because I've been there too, and it's dangerous. The voices get very loud when you're in that space, so don't sit in it.
No, thank you for sharing that, Yarnell. And it's crazy because I'm sitting here reflecting on when I was first exposed to a therapist, and the only thing that pops out at me is a show that everyone knew and loved, and we still love it to this very day. This is my first time actually seeing a therapist. So I'm going to date myself. Remember on A Different World when Whitley was having issues with Dwayne, and she went to see Debbie Allen as a therapist. This is my first recollection of seeing a Black therapist on TV. And the thing that always stood out at me is relax, relate, release. It was just that relax, relate, release thing. And I'm like, I'm talking to you. This is the first time I remember being exposed to therapy in a sense, because I never thought about it before. But then this episode jumps out at me to say, hey, it's okay for a young, accomplished African-American female that's doing her thing in college, goes to see this therapist, and it begins to just make things better for her. So to be able to bring awareness and enlightenment to Black people who actually do go to college. I mean, that actually do go to college, number one, and actually do seek out therapy. Yes, Kim, relax, relate, release. That they actually do see therapists, it was just huge. And I'm like, listening to you talk, that was the first time I remember that it became popular to go see one just because I saw it on TV.
Yeah. I mean, because if we think about it, in our childhood, the first thing that our parents tell us, don't take my business on the street. What happens in my house stays in my house. And I think that plants the seed right there at a very early age that, listen, whatever's going on with me, I got to keep it to myself. I got to keep it a secret. I've got to be quiet and be private about it. And, I'm not blaming any of our, parents. They did the best that they could. And it's, I'm sure, a generational thing, because we pass down what we learn. But I think that, statements like that really plants the seed that, maybe I should keep my mouth closed and not, talk about my problems or my issues. So, I think it's so layered, but none of the things that we've heard are true. None of the stigmas or none of the negative ideas surrounding therapy or mental health, the negativity is not true. It is completely normal. It's your brain, your mind. It's a part of your body. It's a part of who you are. And it needs to be just as healthy as any other part of your body. So it's nothing wrong with going to seek help.
My brother, thank you for sharing that. So listen, I got to go here. What's next for you? How can people keep up with you? What's coming down the pipeline? This is your moment to share out. Like, what are you working on something? Are you going to be working on something? What's going on?
What's next for me? I have no damn idea what's next for me. Listen, I can say this. I am in this very serious transformation, or maybe reformation of myself. Again, defining what life is for me and what it looks like in this next chapter. So, I know for sure that there are some things, there are some people, there are some places that work for me in my 30s that do not and will not work for me in my 40s, for sure. So it's really about giving myself permission to open my mind, number one, so that I don't miss any opportunities and just keep myself grounded and in a healthy and positive headspace so that I don't miss the blessing or I don't miss the opportunity of this next chapter. So that's really important to me. I don't want to say I don't have any special project that I'm working on, but I think that at the end of the day, things will unfold the way they should. I don't know if things are going to unfold on social media because I like my breaks. But I'm working on me, man. I'm a work in progress, so I'm just kind of putting everything else right now on the back burner to make sure that I'm okay. Because if I'm not okay, then my world that I create around me is not going to be okay.
Exactly. No, you're like, damn, I just turned 40. Can I enjoy this for a day or two before you ask me what's next? Now I'm playing.
Good. Good.
Oh, how can the people keep up with you if they want to reach out or follow you or
so
a little bit before he takes a break?
Yeah, so I'm only on Instagram. I'm actually not even on Facebook anymore because Facebook has been a lot for me. So I can't manage a whole bunch of social media stuff. It's just too much. But you can find me on Instagram. That's actually my Instagram handle. It's Mr. YT. Yes, I actually did recently change it. Good noticing that. I recently changed it. I was like, it was my old Instagram name was very similar to somebody else's Instagram name. And I was like, yeah, no, like I don't want any confusion. We are not the same person. No shade to them, but it is what it is. So let me go ahead and change this to where it's me, YT. So, that's it.
I got you. No, I was like, where am I? Oh, there he is. You look. I'm like, wait, got him. He pulled the okie doke on me again. No,
again.
Brother, I have enjoyed this with you tonight. I thank you for your authenticity, just being who you are. You always bring swag and flavor to whatever it is that you do. This is Dialogues of Doc. You are always welcome to come back. So if you drop that big project and want to come talk about it, my family is your family. You're always welcome back. I got some other stuff in the works that I'm going to be bringing you back for anyway. So thank you for just saying yes. Take some time out of your busy schedule for joining me on tonight. Guys, he gave you his Instagram handle. It's on the banner at the bottom. Follow him. Keep up with him before he goes ghost again. So when he reactivates, you'll still be in the family and in the fold. This has been this week's edition of Dialogues with Doc. I will see you guys again next Wednesday. I have an amazing show next week. I'm bringing a panel back for the first time in a while, and the topic is going to be Black male sex appeal. So I have some amazing guests joining me next week. I may have another guest joining me as well. So I'll let you guys know once I release the promo soon. But I'll see you guys again next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Dialogues with Doc. Yarnell, hold on for me. Don't log out, brother, okay?
Oh, thank you.